if you want the double digit locations, if you're an individual barber, if you want the 150 repeat clients where you have to put the post out and pin it on your Instagram where you say you're not taking new clients anymore, you have to leverage the systems that can get you there.
Was some of these, not necessarily misconceptions, but some trends that we're seeing in our conversations with barbershops, barbershop owners, individual barbers for that matter as well. I think we can kind of split today's episode into two, where we talk about barbershops and kind of how they're typically ran and the rabbit hole that guys can kind of fall down. And then same with individual barbers, which can lead into, like jumping between shops and all that kinds of stuff. Maybe talking about some items as far as what to look for in the shop that you're going to choose. So
Yeah.
I'll kind of leave it to you as far as what are some things that come to mind initially from our conversations with barbershop owners that they're just kind of stuck in their ways, essentially.
The biggest one, and this is one of the reasons why we're choosing this as a topic today, is tracking data.
Yep.
Like we come from a data heavy background. That's how we make a lot of our decisions. And now that's not me saying you should only use data to make, every single choice, because there's a much larger playing field that you have to be aware of. But when it comes to basic things as knowing the exact amount of money that your shop makes every month,
Yeah.
where that money comes from, who are the barbers that generate the most money, what are the services that make the most money, what products make the most money. So that's a huge one in terms of you can't really do anything in terms of growth if you don't start tracking that, because you are just shooting into an abyss and hoping something works out, which never going to happen. I'm just going to be frank with you. Running and scaling a business is hard enough when you have all the data. It's damn near impossible when you don't.
Yeah, especially scaling that's not scalable
Not
in an
even
effective manner. You could be wasting tons of
No.
money, tons of time.
Yeah. And so that's one huge one where it's like, and this is a pretty common thread in terms of the people that we look up to, that we trust, and that we listen to, where it's like, if you don't know your numbers inside and out, people look at you like you're not taking your business seriously. And that's, for whatever reason, just not the case with barbershops. So that's a huge one. The second one that I see, because I'm on like the marketing and analytics side, is not doing a single iota of marketing and then complaining that you have slow times or open chairs. That's a massive one. And I know where that one comes from. It comes from booth rent shops where, because the owner has not set themselves up on commission, they don't take the responsibility of marketing the shop. They leave that to the barbers. And if you're a barber and you don't own a shop and you're listening, key into this part, because this is really important. Most booth rent shop owners are not going to market for you. There's no financial advantage for them to do it. They're actually kind of disadvantaged to do it. Only, like, for example, one of our clients, he runs a booth rent shop. He has a long-term vision of where he wants the brand to go, and that's why he runs a booth rent shop. He also doesn't charge cheap booth rent because he knows what he has. And so for someone like him, it makes sense. But the majority of barbershop owners who are charging booth rent, they're just like, oh, I came from a booth rent shop. I don't know the laws about, 1099, independent contractors, putting somebody on salary. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to stick with what I know. So there's no marketing that's had other than word of mouth marketing, which if this was 1970, okay, fine. That's a fine strategy to play. In 2025, you're going to get eaten alive. And that's what most barbershop owners are recognizing, because that's why you're seeing more like sponsored posts on Meta, Facebook or Instagram, which if you're listening, don't do that. That's a waste of your money. Um, Save up and run an ad campaign instead of sponsoring a post. It's dumb. Um, so that's a huge one where it's actually pretty rare from what we've seen that a barbershop markets correctly.
If they are
And
doing marketing.
yes, correct. If they are doing marketing, it's very rare that they're doing it correctly.
And
Um,
posting on socials is like, the reason I'm going to say it's not marketing is because guys are just, how we kind of mentioned on last week's episode, posting, like just posting cuts with no strategic plan as far as
yeah.
how you are posting and who you are trying to capture and why you're trying to capture attention, or
Mhm.
again, what is the reasoning behind the post that you are making. That's marketing, not just
Yeah.
putting up posts that of these different cuts, and for people who see it, you think that they're just going to be captivated by all these haircuts, so much so that they're going to book a haircut and leave a 5-star review. That is
Yeah.
not marketing, just kind of throwing
No.
things at the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. They're just posting to post, which
Yeah.
fine, I guess. At least you're not doing nothing, but it's pretty close to nothing.
Yeah.
So on the marketing side, that's a big one
Yeah.
where it's so easy to attract new clients with just an average Facebook ad campaign, Facebook and IG campaign, because one, there's very few barbershops that actually run paid advertisements. And if they do, they do it for a short period of time because they don't understand the like necessary budget
Yeah.
to run a like cuz so this is a little bit in the weeds, but on a Facebook or Instagram campaign, to see legit ROI, you have to run it for at least 3 to 6 months. Um that allows for Facebook and Instagram's algorithms to learn to understand your client base, but also it allows your prospects to see the ad multiple times.
Yeah.
And that, gives you time to test and do different iterations and all that fun stuff. But with a Facebook and Instagram ad campaign specifically, the intent to buy or the intent to book an appointment is lower than a Google Ads campaign, for example.
Yeah.
And you're going to ask, Owen, well, why is that the case? Because when someone types into Google, best barbershop near me, barbershop in New Braunfels, Texas, there's a really good chance that they're looking for a haircut right now.
Yeah.
Most people aren't planning out a haircut being like, oh, I'm going to decide what I want or where I want to go, but not book. There are some people that do that, sure, but it's not the majority. That's why Google ad campaigns have a higher buy intent, but that's also why they require a higher budget.
Yeah.
Um, but with a meta ad campaign, it's much more about brand awareness
Yeah.
than specific buying intent. And yes, people still buy and people still book through meta ad campaigns. Don't worry, you're not throwing $1,000 away.
Yeah.
It's still worth it to run them. We still run them for our clients. But they think the second they turn on an ad campaign, they're going to have 100 new clients in 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
it's just a highly unrealistic. Like that's the business equivalent to being like, all right, here we go. I'm gonna buy a scratch off, and this is gonna hit.
Yeah.
It's
That's
it's it's
basically
the
the
same
equivalent.
thing. It's the same thing where you're just taking a gamble, and you have a very small percentage chance. So why that's a good equivalent is because yes, the first time someone buys a scratch off ticket, they might win 10 grand. Has it? I'm sure it's happened in the United States before, and I'm sure it's happened more than once.
Yep.
But there's millions of other people who have lost $10,000 on scratch offs and never won anything.
Yeah. And something I want to add too to any type of meta campaign, I think guys will get into that position that you mentioned earlier where traffic is slow, which we can dive into kind of the mindset around traffic just being slow and just because and accepting it. But what I wanted to touch on with any type of advertising is that we mentioned at the beginning of the show tracking data. So if you're not tracking your data, you can't measure the back end conversions if you're going to run like a Facebook ad campaign. I think that's where guys are going to get this idea that if I'm slow, I should run a Facebook ad, not then thinking, how are you going to track the conversions? Because Facebook isn't just going to automatically detect, oh, yeah, this person went from the Facebook ad, went off of the Facebook platform to your website or to your Booksy, to your whatever your booking platform is, and then booked an appointment, right? Facebook isn't natively understanding that. There are things that
No.
you have to do on the back end, which of course Owen and I do for our folks, but I want guys to understand that when you have these different influencers or these different kind of marketing gurus pop online and say, just run a Facebook ad campaign for barbershops or barbers in general, it is not as easy as it sounds. Obviously, there's systems in place that really make it a lot easier. But again, tracking the conversions, because how are you measuring your success at the end of the day? If you're
Yeah.
just running the campaign and you're just going based off of like number of, oh, I typically have, let's just say randomly, like 20 appointments a week. I know that's probably low for a lot of guys, but let's just go with 20 for easy numbers. And now, since I ran my Facebook ads, I'm now at 25 or something like that. But some guys don't even know that number to begin with. So, yes,
Correct.
basics as far as having data, like what are you typically doing on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Understanding, is it what do you do in January? What are you doing in December? What are you doing in August, right? Having some of that kind of historical data really helps and can help track those conversions. But of course, knowing how to set up something that can tell Facebook, hey, when this person actually books the appointment, that's when you track it as a conversion. And so I want guys to understand that there's some intricacies when it comes to advertising campaigns. It's not just, put a picture of a haircut and then put in the description, hey, come get a haircut, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, I run my ad campaign and like all my problems are solved, because that's
Yeah.
most of the time not the case for not just barbershop owners, but business owners in general.
Yeah, no, that's a really good distinction. And it brings up a funny story. We had a client who one of their barbers decided to run a Facebook ad campaign shortly after we had started to see some success with ours. We had got it was under a $4 cost per booking, which if you know anything about like ad campaigns, it was one of the greatest ad campaigns that I've ever written. And I'm not shy about saying that because it was truly incredible. And so the barber saw the success that we had with our ad campaign, and his days were slow and wanted to kind of piggyback off that success. And he used a copyrighted song in his Facebook ad. The first 30 seconds of the video creative was from a music video that he did not have license to use. And then there was about 5 seconds at the end of him, post haircut with a client. Now I'm poking a little bit of fun, but I'm trying to highlight something for barbers and barbershop owners, right? Where it's like, just because, like Kaleb said, you added your card to the ads account, just because you put a picture in of a haircut and you put something in the ad description, by no means does that guarantee success. I had spent, I don't know, Kaleb, what do you think? 25, probably 25 hours over a 4 or 5 week period doing market research in terms of how other barbershops were, kind of set up if they were running ads, if they were running ads, what were they? How are they uh, positioning their brand? What are the top level barbers and barbershop owners running for their ads? I mean, it was not just a, hey, send us over this video and let me load it in. It was, I'm going to say, at minimum 20 hours of research that I put in for this ad campaign to be successful.
Yeah.
So if anybody tells you that just starting a Facebook ad is going to solve your problems, or just start running paid ad campaigns and you're going to have less slow days, they're talking out of their ass, and you're going to lose money. And you're not going to really know how much money you lost because you're not tracking any of the data. And so that's why that's one of the reasons why when a new client comes to us, we do not turn on paid advertising campaigns day one. And we will never do it. The only time that we ever would do that is if every single foundational piece that we would have put in anyways was already in place. Which maybe that'll happen, maybe once, but it's so unlikely that we just have it kind of set in our process that it's minimum 4 to 6 weeks before we will launch a paid ad campaign. And that's to save our clients money. That's to save the headache. And that's also because we've made the mistake before. We have ran Facebook ad campaigns and didn't have the foundational pieces set in place. And then we got a bunch of leads in, couldn't handle them, and then we just ended up losing money because we didn't have the back end processes set up to handle that traffic.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big kind of status quo things of, well, we can handle more traffic. It's like, okay, yeah, your barbers can handle more traffic, right? That's great that they have time in their schedules to add to new clients. Awesome. Because that's a great opportunity to make more revenue.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you don't have the back end set up to be able to track the data to make sure you're actually making money on the ad campaign. See where the traffic is coming from. Are they, is it straight off Facebook? Are they going to the website? Because all of this tells you something. And this kind of leads me into what I was going to say next is the lack of operational awareness. And now, granted, I'm not saying I could step in and run a barbershop perfectly day one because I never have personally been in a barbershop day in, day out. But man, can we manage the back end.
Yeah.
And we're really good at it. And one of the reasons we're really good at it is because people pay us money because they don't know how to do it. And they've been running a barbershop for 5, 10, 15 years. And so that's something where, to us, it seems like a lot of barbershop owners view running a barbershop as they're still cutting their own clients' hair and managing and hiring barbers.
Imagine this: every chair in your barbershop filled, every client returning, and every new review being replied to, boosting your shop to the top of search results. Because as you know, empty chairs do not pay the bills. And that's where Automated Barbershop comes in. The all in one system that keeps your clients coming back with automated reminders, built in business growth, review requests, and so much more, so you can focus on the fades and not the follow ups. It's like having a personal assistant working inside of your business 24/7. There's no tech headaches, no marketing degree required, just more clients and less stress. Plus, it integrates with your favorite booking system and takes just 10 minutes per day, so you can have less hassle and more revenue. So get involved with the future of barbershops and watch your shop and your career grow to a new level. Let our team install the automated barbershop system into your business in less than 72 hours by clicking the link in the description.
And that's less than, and then you have payroll, then you have rent, then you have some of that stuff, right? Kind of basic basic you like I guess just payments for, keeping the roof over your head. That's 15% of what truly running a successful barbershop should be.
Yeah, and most of the time it's still done the old ways of, how we're not necessarily preaching, but how we are telling guys the new way of running a shop is a business mindset of running
Mm-hmm.
it like a business where you have team members, not, and a lot of guys will say, well, I do have team members. Okay, but how do you pay them? Okay, you don't pay them. Everybody has their own motion. That's kind of what I was
Yeah.
saying, in Slack earlier, was that
Mhm.
the way that barbershops are being ran so commonly is that everybody's kind of their own boss, and they
Yeah.
kind of set their schedule, and then, everyone collects their own revenue, blah blah blah, and that's fine. If you want to do booth rent, whatever, but not taking it a step further. For example, right, you've seen, I've, shown the team a few different times, there's platforms where you can still bill, like the client can get billed online through the
Mhm.
barbershop, and then each individual barber can have their own POS system and their own, all that great stuff. So that's one option, but there's so much kind of short-minded thinking when it comes to running it the old way, everybody on their own motion. I'm not going to market for these guys, because what guys don't understand is, if you're bringing seats or people to the seats, right? People to the chairs. If you're filling chairs for guys, you don't really care who fills that chair as far as the barber is concerned, right? Like, you
Yeah.
don't care if it's this barber, that barber. If they're a quality barber, right? I don't care who you are, man or woman. I could care less. And I know that I'm going to fill your chair. That's the mindset that, we've been talking to guys about for the last few months now, is, hey, by doing that, by putting yourself in a position where my shop is the go-to shop. If you come to my shop, it doesn't matter if you've been a barber for 6 years
Mhm.
or 6 weeks, your chair will be getting filled because of the efforts that I'm putting in with, whether it's a system like ours, marketing, SEO, all that great stuff, right? Branding, actually creating a brand for the organization. And so with that, you're able to increase your booth rent. A lot of guys are only charging anywhere from, like, let's just call it 150 to like 250, right? Well, if you're creating the demand and you've set the table, because there's some other
Mhm.
things that we've talked about. I know we haven't had a pricing episode yet, but when you're filling the chairs and you're constantly full, now you can increase pricing. Okay, now our cuts are all $50 each, bare minimum. Just
Yeah.
baseline haircuts, $50. Add on additional services. Now one client can end up paying $120, $130 because they got
Mhm.
all these extra services, right? And so now you've created extra pricing, and you've also created an extreme demand for barbers, essentially, right? Because
Yeah.
now you have this ever flowing, I don't even know what the word is for it, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
seeing that, because when you're a barbershop owner and you're put in that position where you have constant chairs that are full, you are almost always booked out. You almost can't take walk-ins. We've talked to some shops where they can't even take walk-ins because they're
Yeah.
so busy they have to open another location. And so
Mhm.
if you're in that position as a barbershop owner, now you can go back to your barbers and say, hey, I know that you're making great money because we just upped our prices to $50 base rate, and now we have all these additional services that somebody can end up paying $120 for just, 30 minutes, an hour of your time. Let's call it, right? So
Mhm.
now, instead of charging $250, I'm probably going to raise my booth rent. If you want to stay a booth rent shop, you could do commission. I know a lot of guys are going the commission route, but let's just say you wanted to stay the, booth rent way. Now I can go bump it up to 300, 350,
Yeah.
because I know that putting you in the chair, as long as you show up to work, you are going to make a ridiculous amount of money regardless. And so me upping my price by, an extra $50, $100, shit, even $200, because then you can show the barbers, once you have built this foundation for so long, if I'm a barbershop owner, let's say all my chairs are always full, 7 days a week, I'm open from, let's just call it 8 to 8, and I'm just jam packed. I got 6, 7 chairs, right? And we're always packed. We cannot take walk-ins. Our baseline price is $50. Any barber that comes to me, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to show them, hey, here, I'm also tracking data. I have all these processes in place. I'm pitching myself, right? Like this is the go-to shop that you want to be at because
Mhm.
one, all of our barbers make well over X amount of dollars, right? Let's just say over 10 grand a month, well over that, right?
Mhm.
After our fee of the booth rent, right? We have this process in place. We do all this marketing. We take care of everything for you. All you have to do is show up, being in the chair, and your chair will be full for if you want to be here 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter. Your chair will be full. I think
Mhm.
putting yourself in that position as a barbershop owner allows you to then go to these barbers and say, look, why should I hire you? Why should you work in my shop? Because
Yeah.
I know I've got the hottest shop on the block right now, and I'm going to be charging 350. I'm sorry, like, and that's how barber shop owners are able to make more. But you have to be able to show these barbers, hey, this is why I'm charging that. I might be
Yeah.
charging an extra, $100, $200 on the booth rent, but that's because you're going to make this here versus you're only going to make this here, and you're probably going to also have to invest into your own marketing because you're treated as
Mhm.
as an individual barber. I'm not
Yeah.
treating you as an individual barber. I'm treating you as a team member. You are a part of my team. I'm taking care of the marketing. I'm taking care of growing the brand. I'm taking care of brand awareness and all these other great
Mhm.
things that business owners have to do. So all you do is you pay me your booth rent and don't worry about the rest. Cut hair and be good at
Yeah.
your craft. I think guys need to start moving towards that angle, and we've got some clients who are really really about that. And
Oh,
I think if you're one of these shops that's kind of in that mindset that we've talked to quite a few shops who are where they're like, this is just the way that it is. We're, let's just say, closed on X day of the week just because we're slow from 11 to 2 weekdays just because, and this is the way that barbershops are ran. If that's you right now listening to this podcast, I'm sorry, but it might not be this year, it might not be the next 3 years, but give it time. And the combination of guys getting on our platform and listening to what we're saying, I promise you're going to get left behind. And there's going to be a kid who's half your age opening a shop right across the street, and he's going to blow you out of the water, and everybody's going to be fiending to go there from as a client perspective and as a barber. I can almost guarantee
yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah. And th this is something that I thought about. The guys that think in the kind of traditional way that we're shitting on a bit, um, you're taking on so much stress and responsibility when you're almost running like a barbershop suite where
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like every single barber has his own suite, even though it's not set up like that. I get it, it's still a barbershop, but it's almost as if every chair is a suite, but instead of them paying you to show up and they do everything and whatever, you're putting your name on the line,
Yeah.
but you're not investing anything into it. Like, I walked into a barbershop like last week, and there was one barber in there, dead empty. It was probably 11:30 on like a Wednesday. Um, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey, like, is this normal?" And she was like, "Yeah, this is our slow time." And I was like, "What's the biggest problem for the shop right now?" And she's like, "Just getting people in chairs. We just don't have much foot traffic. We have like next to no walk-ins, and we just don't have that many clients." And I was like, "How long have you guys been open?" 4 years. It's like, "Yeah, that's kind of a long time to still be in that early growth phase. What are you guys doing to try to get yourself out of that?" "Oh, well, we're posting on social media." That's it. And it's like, if you hear what we're saying, if you either listen to the podcast, see a reel, get on a sales call with us or something, I'm not saying that if you don't buy from us that you're dumb or you're wrong or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But if you don't at least take something away from it, whether it's, oh man, there might be some things that I need to change,
Yeah.
or you go out and you start doing like automated review requests and replies, for example, something out that's really minor on the client retention side in terms of front end investment, but you're starting to get into it, right? If you don't do any of that,
Yeah.
then I don't feel, I'm not going to feel that bad for you when your shop fails, because
Yeah.
we're telling you. that the barbershop market is on the precipice of a change. It's going to happen. We
Yeah.
can't tell you when, but we can tell you that it will. And we're trying to force that change.
Yeah.
One, because it's going to be better for the people that got on the wave before. They're going to see a lot of return because there's going to be a lot of shops closing and a lot of people without barbers. And just to be frank with you, it's going to make us a lot of money too because we saw this change coming as well.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't at least think about what we're saying, then there's nobody you can blame other than yourself.
Yeah.
And so and like, I know that probably comes off as harsh, but at the same time, sometimes you got to be harsh with people to get the message across.
Yeah.
Like, like there's nothing stopping the train of technology and automation.
Yeah.
Nothing. Thousands of people have tried since the early 60s. And look at where we are today. Doesn't matter. So, once you accept that fact that you can't stop change, what are you going to do about it? Again, I'm not saying that you got to buy from us. Set this up on your own. Cool, great. I'm glad.
Yeah. Literally.
Just do something other than staying with the status quo. And so we got about 15 minutes left. So let's talk to the barbers for a second, because I know that we haven't talked a lot about, individual barber specific stuff. We do have a platform that is for barbers only. And the reason we set it up is because it's kind of like the reverse of a lot of these situations, right? Where, and I think I mentioned this on last week's pod, but it's like barbers are like the number one fastest growing profession in the service industry, which is awesome.
Makes sense.
Being a barber can give you a great lifestyle. But there's a lot of barbers that are really new and really naive. And so if you're in a booth rent shop, as I mentioned at the top, you got to understand most booth rent owners aren't going to spend a dime trying to get people into your chair because you're
Yeah.
paying them either way. So that's the first thing you have to understand, that it's going to be on you to bring people in. The second thing, you're not going to build a 150 client list that comes to you every single month from just posting on social media.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you get 40, maybe you get 30, friends from high school, people that are still in the area, people that want to support you. That's great. Leverage all those people you can. What you have to understand is it's on you. It's at your feet. So, what are some things that individual barbers can do, Kaleb, in terms of helping to fill their chair if they're in a booth rent situation, or their shop owner isn't, taking the bull by the horns, and it's 100% on them to build their client list and fill their chair?
Yeah. I think for me, if I was an individual barber, what I would be looking at is the type of shop I'm going to. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the first mistake that guys make, is really not vetting the shop that they're going to. All the things, and why I mentioned that, for if you're an individual barber and you're watching the podcast, right? You've seen our YouTube, like Owen mentioned, or you're checking out our site, whatever the case might be. Everything that we mentioned for a barber shop, when you go and you're looking at going to a new shop or you're at your current shop, just have some of this in the back of your mind of all the things that we've talked about for a barbershop owner. Maybe that's your dream one day. Fantastic. But all the things that we're mentioning for barbershop owners, individual barbers listening to this podcast can take those kind of insights and those key points and understand or look for certain things when it comes to finding your shop. For example, a real life example of that would be, if I'm originally from Minnesota, so let's just call it I live in Apple Valley, Minnesota, right? I know, just offhand, I know that there is at least like one or two barbershops, very close in Apple Valley, right? What I'm going to look for if I'm a barber looking to go to a shop is I'm going to look at some of the search results in the area through some SEO. right? Understanding what population sizes are, what the demographics might be of those
Mhm.
populations. And so some of these things are obviously getting into the weeds, but I'm trying to showcase that you have to understand where you are going. And then once you get into the shop, what is the culture? Does it go against what some of the things we have mentioned in our previous episodes, right? Like that inside culture, how are customers treated or clients treated? You don't want to just be, and I get it, some guys are just looking to get into a shop. Not every shop's probably hiring newbies. I get that. But being more strategic, if it was me and it's down to a 30-minute drive or an hour drive, and the hour drive is a higher quality shop, better as far as population size, the right
Mhm.
demographics, and it's got a better culture, I'm gonna drive that hour versus the 15 or 30 minutes down the road just because it's closer and they're gonna accept me. I would try to do everything I can to be a part of that one that's an hour away, because the shop you go to, I think it plays a huge role. Obviously walk-ins, of course, but
Yeah.
I think just being there, and obviously you got to like the people that you're around too. I get that. But I think the shop itself plays such a key role in ways that guys don't even think of. Things that you're not even paying attention to when you're cutting hair, right? Is there things that are like visually to the customer when they come in? Visually, when you walk into your shop or to a shop that you're looking to potentially work at, what are the things that you were seeing initially visually? And put on your customer hat, your consumer hat, right? What am I immediately looking at? Is there a broken something, or is it just messy, or whatever the case might be? I think just putting on your kind of client or customer hat and seeing it through their lens will help you identify, yeah, I don't want to be here as a barber because this is how my clients are going to perceive me because I'm
Mhm.
working here. And whether you like it or not, a lot of clients, yes, you're your own barber in most shops right now, but they're still attaching you to XYZ name. I don't care
Yeah.
what type of system or not system, but setup that you have, right? If my barber works at XYZ barbershop, I don't, no matter what, I'm always going to attach him to, yeah, my guy works at XYZ barbershop.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. Where it's and I think you made a great point in terms of like if you're fresh out of school and you don't have a client list, it's pretty unlikely that the best shop in your area is
Oh
gonna
yeah,
hire you. So we're not telling you to get your hopes up and don't take a job because you're waiting for a chair to open. But let's say you have a few options available, right? And it's like, okay, ask the shop owner, like, what's the average tenure of a barber here? Ask the other
hmm,
barbers. How long have you guys been here? If everybody's like 6 months, a year, year and a half, you should start wondering why. Because
yeah,
good barbers will stay at shops for 5, 10, 15 years when they get compensated correctly, when they're enjoying what they're doing, when they're enjoying who they're around.
yeah,
So you should be looking for red flags, right? But also understand that you are going to have to make some sacrifices too, right?
100%.
Where it's, hey, you're brand new. So for a lot of our brand new guys, you probably don't have $1,000, $1,500 to spend on like a Facebook ad campaign. One thing you can do, this is where you should be posting on social media. This is where that you as a barber should create a content plan for yourself to generate leads. Then you manually enrich those leads, manually nurture them, and try to bring them into the shop for you
Yeah,
because you don't have a bunch of money to spend on systems, right? And so that's a big one. And that's also another reason because we charge what, like 297, 247 something for like our individual barber
yeah.
plan.
I think the very basic one's like $200,
Yeah.
and guys can get a lot of value out of something, even if it's not us, something
Yeah.
like that, where you're able to have a
Mhm.
database for your clients. But to your point about socials too, you can still, again, thinking like a barbershop owner, if you are in a position where you're truly treated as an individual barber, like a
Mhm.
1099, you own, quote unquote, you are your own boss, then start acting or treating it like that until your shop kind of gets on this new wave where maybe I will do for new clients, you know, 5-10% discount, things that we mentioned before for
Yeah.
barbershop owners, right? Things that you would do, like, I think guys are having a tough time putting their barbershop owner hat on versus I am an individual
Ah,
barber. You see what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
understand that it's on them, but they're still like, I'm just an individual barber versus like, okay, everything's on me. And
Mhm.
now I need to flip on my barbershop owner hat, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And it kind of goes back to the same thing of like everybody loves to say that they're their own boss. Everybody loves to say that they're a hustler.
Yeah.
Whether you're a barbershop owner or an individual barber, when everything's laid at your feet, shit gets tough. It's not easy. Like I'm not going to pull any, bones about like it's not an easy road. But
Yeah.
for the people that stick through it, leverage the systems like ours to the best of their ability, right? One of the reasons why we charge $200 for it, we don't make a ton of money off that,
No,
but
we really
we make very little money off that offer, and we could charge $500 a month for it, but we charge 197 or whatever the hell the price is because we want barbers to have something that one, it's not only the biggest barbers in the city can use it, but we want new barbers to be able to use something and
yeah.
actually see like legit value from it.
Yep.
Whether that's, some of the back end systems, just having a strong, database that they can message and, interact with, or building out their own calendar so you don't have to rely on some shitty service like Booksy and you can
Yeah.
customize it, make it look more professional. Like
Internal payments, like you
internal,
start to really talk about owning, like if again, if
yes.
you're going to be treated as your own at 1099, you work for yourself, you might as well go balls to the wall, 1 to
Mhm.
100, and start doing the things that are what you would do as a barbershop owner, which is putting a
Exactly.
legitimate system in place, a CRM,
Exactly.
a marketing platform, a
Mhm.
the things that you think guys just aren't thinking about it. Like I
No.
don't know why. I get it. It's this industry is so common of just like follow the leader, and I get
Yeah.
that. And change can be scary for some guys, but like
It's not
Booksy is
even like
not.
follow the leader. It's like follow the masses.
Yeah, and it's like okay, everyone's on Booksy. It's like Booksy is not like yes, it's a very for what it does, right? They have a very big stronghold on the market. I get
Mhm.
that, but that doesn't mean Booksy is your best option. It
No.
doesn't.
They have a strong hold because it's cheap and you can book appointments.
Yeah,
It it serves a purpose. We're not saying it doesn't serve a purpose,
yeah,
but we don't do what we do to serve a purpose.
correct.
We, as Caleb mentioned, we're trying to take things to the next level, not only for ourselves, but for our clients. Our
Yeah,
clients come to us, and I don't say we go out and get them. Most of our clients come to us
yeah, which is kind of
because
funny.
they want to grow and they want to do it correctly, and they've seen what we've done for other barbershops because as all of you guys know, the barbershop community is really tight, especially in like city to city. So we had one of our clients, we did really well for them. We doubled their monthly revenue in 3 weeks. Like not like 3 weeks, 6 months after we launched. No, it was 3 weeks from launch. We doubled
Yeah,
their revenue. We had multiple barbershops that said, "Hey, I saw what you just did for XYZ barbershop. Well, how do we get this going?" And so it kind of goes into that, follow the leader, follow the masses thing where it's such a tight community where once they see it implemented and see that it works, they're like, "Oh shit, I need that."
yeah,
But it's not the barbershops and the barbershop owners who are like, man, I'm just like sort of stressed about, like running the shop. I only want one shop. I don't want to cut that often. I don't want to work that hard. The guys that come to us are the like almost visionary types where it's like, I might have one location or two locations now, but I want 5, 10, 15. Like
Yeah.
we had a sales call last weekend. The guy, the guy put in an astronomical amount of money to make his shop the nicest, most professional shop in the city. And that's not only who our product's for, but that's who we like working with the most because they're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And so again, not saying everybody has to think like that. Figure out what you truly want. But don't go around calling yourself a hustler. Don't go around calling yourself this big bad entrepreneur when you're not willing to leverage what's out there. Because
Yeah.
and we've like just take outside of barbershops. We've spoken with thousands of small business owners. Thousands. There's a reason why small business stays small.
Yeah.
It's because they continue to operate and do these things that we're talking about, which is only a problem for small businesses. You will never walk into a 50, 100, 150 person plus company doing 5, 10, 15 million plus a year and see these problems.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's not possible. You can't run a large or even mid-market business like that. You can't. So, if that's what you want, if you want the $1 million barbershop, if you want the double-digit locations, if you're an individual barber, if you want the 150 repeat clients where you have to put the post out and pin it on your Instagram where you say you're not taking new clients anymore, you have to leverage the systems that can get you there.
Yeah.
Whether that's ours or you build it yourself, this is not a sales pitch for us. This is a pitch in terms of you have to utilize the systems that are out there. You have to invest into them, understand why you're putting them in place, and then put the work in to scale it.
Yeah.
It's when you think about it that way, it's really simple. A lot of small businesses and barbershops stay small because they're so unwilling to invest a fraction of the amount that they would get on the back end.
Mhm.
And it's like, if you look at our automated barbershop platform, it's $497 a month. We could charge 3 grand a month for it. And
Yeah.
all of our clients would say that it's still valuable. We could charge revenue share and they would still find it valuable. We have it at such a low price right now. And I said right now for a reason. It absolutely will go up in price. If you are hearing this in 2026, 2027, and you're like, what the hell, man? It's not
497. I
497. Yeah,
wish.
yeah. That's why it's
200
not.
bucks. I wish.
I know. And so we're doing that because when we lay it out on a sales call, Kaleb takes our sales calls. He doesn't try to close people. It's here's the price, here's what we can do. Are we doing this or not?
Yeah.
And
And we're
every
done doing
sales,
that too, which is
yeah.
so funny.
Oh yeah,
Like
true. That's a good
now
point.
we're done. And I think to your point, that's how I, I can't stress it enough to guys. Like I will of course still hop on like a visual demo if guys want to, but we have the pre-recorded demo out there. We have all the information on a
Mhm.
brand new site that's launching. By the time this podcast releases, it'll actually probably already be live, the new version of our site. But we know and we are so confident that not only does it work, but the direction and the trajectory of where the industry itself is going.
Mhm.
That's why, to Owen's point, none of us on our team are trying to sell individual barbers or barbershops. We're telling you this is what's going to happen. I guarantee when things were happening in 2008, 2009, I guarantee people wish that they had gotten a heads up 1, 2, 3 years prior,
Yeah.
right? just some insight on what can I do differently. And this is what you can do differently. And again, this is not a sales pitch. Obviously, we have our ad that populates in the middle of all of our pod episodes, but just understand that the reason that we don't heavy sell on this pod and just only talk about ours, and we're always saying we could care less what you do, is because we know what's going to happen with our platform and how many users are going to gravitate towards it and how powerful it's going to be and completely disrupt. Owen says this on every single one of our meetings. We are literally about to disrupt the entire market or the entire industry of barbering, essentially. And so that's, I guess, your quote unquote pitch is really do something. That's what all I got to say is do something, whether it's our platform or you want to manually do it, you want to learn stuff, you're on your own. Cool, great, dude. I don't care. Like,
do whatever. It's
like,
fine. And
do something.
It's, I had a conversation with a barbershop owner not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, on Instagram. And he said something that should scare barbershop owners who are not taking this seriously. He just got his first client from ChatGPT.
Oh.
Somebody typed in, who's the best barbershop in whatever city he's in? What's the best barbershop? And his shop popped up. Now, granted, ChatGPT has done a lot of learning from Google, but I don't know if it's next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. There's going to be a point in time where some sort of GPT, whether it's OpenAI or whoever, Google will not be the king of search engines anymore. It's going to be a GPT. And if you're not at least set up to make that transition from having something like automated barbershop in place, you're dominating, digital presence, SEO, all that, because that's a pretty easy transition. Because then that's on us to make the transition, which we make transitions all the time, and it's fine, easy money. But if you have nothing, you're never going to get sniffed by a GPT, ever. And so it goes into what Kaleb said, do something. But if you are going to call yourself a business owner, if you're going to call yourself an entrepreneur, whether you're an individual barber or you actually own a barbershop, start fucking acting like it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's going to go south.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to shame anybody. We've had things go south. That's what happens when you run businesses. It's never a home run every single time. But the flip side of it is everybody forgets your failures and things that didn't happen when you get it right once. And that's all you need to be successful.
Yeah.
To make the right string of decisions one time. And so I'm imploring you, have that first decision in that correct string be, I'm going to invest into the system that's going to make me more money. I'm not saying spend your last $500 with us. Because if you
you're a
told us
barber,
that,
200, 300,
exactly. Because if you told us that on a sales call, we'd say, don't.
Yeah.
Don't
You have
do
other
that.
issues, bro.
Yeah. But if you're making a couple grand a month minimum as a barbershop, hell, I'd even say $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Make the investment into the systems, because I understand that money coming out of your bank account, and there's always that feeling of anxiety of, oh, is this going to work? Did I just make a dumb decision? Business owners don't think like that.
Yeah.
You have to try things. And that's what's great about our platform. We have testimonials, we have data, we have results. We'll show you exactly how it works. And so invest into the systems that bring you more money. Don't get out of this scarcity mindset of, I just have to hoard. every single successful, and I'm not talking like the successful business owners that I'm talking about the greatest business owners of all time.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has leverage capital to make them more money. On your small scale, because that's what we're doing, on your small scale, leverage the capital that you can leverage without putting yourself in the poorhouse to make you more money next month, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. Because that's when you actually start running a business,
Yeah.
not when you call yourself a business owner on social media.
100%. Man, that
That's
was
all
great. That was good stuff, man. Yeah. So we,
I
as always, Owen and I and Daniel, one day you guys will meet Daniel.
Yeah.
He's
Daniel's
always
young.
working, doing some stuff for us. So,
He's a
with that
young
being
kid.
said,
So.
we do appreciate everyone who tunes in, of course. As Owen's mentioned in the past, if you guys do have specific topics, questions, concerns, things that are going through your shop or your barber career right now, obviously we can't speak to how to cut better hair, right? But if you're going through a tough time as far as how to find clients, how to retain clients, things of that nature, obviously we have our website. But of course, you can always hit us in the comments, ask us to provide some more information or some more insight or go
Mhm.
more in depth on a particular topic, and we'll definitely do that on future episodes. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Check out all of our channels, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.